events that might happen, then all of a sudden you'd have an attack on the person who was acting as the president to test your response skills. So it's very, very intense training.
I appreciate that, sir. Our acting director Rowe has said that we need a paradigm shift, and we need to be changed from one of being reactive to one of readiness. Now, what does that even mean?
Well, I think it means that the Secret Service needs to shift how we do business, but I'll harken back to my testimony. To me,
like shift, from back to all the work that was done to prepare you for President Reagan and President Bush to the lack of that work being done now?
No, sir, that's not what I mean. I think there's a certain, I don't know what words are actually come to mind, but agents are exhausted now. The campaign really, really takes a lot out of them. And I think they don't have enough resources, Secret Service does not have enough personnel and resources to give people the breaks that they need. But also, let me say though, Congressman, when we say about the paradigm shift and going from a reactive mode to a readiness mode, it's really being proactive. And I'll harken back to my testimony.
When would you not be proactive when you go out into a situation like that? You're always looking for points of attack, correct?
Yes, from the physical protection aspect, but I'm talking the overall agency.
I'm talking about the physical protection. When you were in PPD, when you were out there on the field, if you saw somebody in the line of sight or the day before in a walkthrough and you saw problems with line of sight, what would you do?
I would have had those mitigated, or else I would have talked to the supervisor and said, it's not safe for the president to come.
Correct. How would you mitigate it?
You could have banners, you could have buses, you could have trucks. There are a lot of ways to mitigate it. But however, to me, the simplest way to mitigate the building there outside the fence line in Butler was to post it. If you had police officers on the outside of the building, or agents, no one could have got up to the roof.
My understanding is that there was some type of vehicle that was supposed to be posted there to block that line of sight. When you came out and you were in charge and you didn't see the vehicle there, you still let the president come out?
Well, I didn't do the advance, and I don't want to second guess the people
but
there.
I'm asking you, since you're here on their behalf, I'm asking you,
Mr. Joyce.
You would have let the person come out?
Mr. Joyce, I would have taken the steps necessary. If I thought there was still a gap in the security posture, I would have taken the steps necessary, or I would have told the supervisors it's not safe to bring the president here. That's what I would have done.
Mr. Joyce.
Thank you very much. I know I exceeded my time.
I wish we had a lot more time to do this. I mean it because I think you're onto something that we really need to know.
I'm
Mr.
not a
Correa,
chairman,
you are
so I
now
don't get
recognized
extra
for
time.
5 minutes. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to welcome our witnesses today. You're all real-life heroes, and you acted with bravery on July 13th, and for that, I thank you on behalf of the American public. I'm also grateful that former President Trump was not seriously injured, but several families were. Their lives have been changed, and for them, I have nothing but my deepest sympathies. Mr. Sullivan, I want to turn to you first. I have a Wall Street Journal article from yesterday, and I'm going to submit this for the record, Mr. Chairman.
Objections.
And quickly summarizing some of the statements were made. Unclear chain of command, technical issues, poor communication, couldn't identify who within Secret Service was final decision maker, no communication in real time, 2 communication centers. Secret Service said they had technical issues with the radios, a problem that was characterized as being common with the agency. This is a summary of the Senate findings. And Mr. Sullivan, I just want to ask you a very brief question, which is, who's in charge at these sites?
It is crystal clear in my mind from when I was an agent. The site agent, the site advance agent, crafts his or her plan, presents it to the lead advance agent. Ultimately, the lead advance agent is personally responsible for signing off on the entire advance package, all the sites, airport motorcades.
So I'm going to ask you, you have at least three different elements here, 3 different groups that we're talking about here. We're talking about the Secret Service, local police, and the campaign.
Yes.
So the Secret Service is in charge
Secret Service is in
of
charge
all the above.
of security. No, not all the above, not the campaign, Mr. Carrera. It's only charge of the security portion.
And I say that to you because some of the testimony here today, first of all, we don't have communication was totally lacking here. You mentioned there was a, one command center is generally the situation. Here you had two command centers that didn't talk to each other. You had someone in the roof spotted, 1609, call was made, suspect on roof with possible weapon. 1811, local police officer spots crooks, jumps off the roof, injures himself. 32 seconds later, you have a shot, goes off. Real time. You've been with the Secret Service, sir. You with President Reagan, I believe you said.
And President Bush, yes, sir.
Thank you for that good work. What went wrong? Who's in charge? And I'm not trying to say focus on you, but rather we have former President Trump going back to Butler here in the next few days. I'm not looking for people that are guilty here. I'm looking for solutions. What went wrong? How can we fix that moving forward?
Well, what went wrong here is there was a breakdown, and I'll explain one more time, Mr. Carrera. The site agent reports to the lead agent. The lead agent is responsible. He or she is responsible for the entire advance package, and then that's presented to the field office supervisor and the detail supervisor.
Are we being lax here? Because Secret Service is an elite group of Americans, done an excellent job of protecting our presidents. And here today, you described to me, who's in charge, at least for the locals and Secret Service and not the campaign. But is there somebody there who has the authority to say, this doesn't look good, pull the candidate off the stage, this situation is beyond my control, or it doesn't look good, cancel this thing, move to a safer ground? Is there somebody there that has the authority to tell all three elements, this is not good, let's move on?
Yes, the site agent and the lead agent, before the protectee gets there, could call ahead and say, it's not safe, do not let the protectee arrive. Absolutely. Once the protectee's there, if there's an issue, any agent, you don't have to be the detail leader, any agent can
I'm
go up.
running out of time, so very quickly, my last question would be, did that person in charge also review all of the communication and say, this is not working?
Yes, that was the lead
Pull the
agent's
plug.
responsibility. The lead agent,
And so there was a failure there by the lead agent.
well, I don't want to specifically say the lead agent, but in my opinion, it was probably the lead agent's responsibility to ensure the overall communication for the entire visit was appropriate.
And that was not the case.
Apparently not.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, I yield.
Thank you, Mr. Correa. Now recognize Representative Walz, 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I think I share everyone's condolences for the Compatore family, for the Copenhaver family, for the Dutch family that are dead and suffering because of these failures. And thank you all for your service. Every day you wake up and put that badge on to keep us safe. We appreciate you and we have your back. And I just want to let you know, as a veteran, when we come home, we depend on all of you, and I just can't thank you enough. Commander Lenz, Lieutenant Harrell, I want to take a step back again, back to the planning. And really the threat profile that President Trump is facing that is unprecedented in modern American history. Commander Lenz, Lieutenant Harrell, were you made aware that Iran has ongoing assassination plots against President Trump that are active and ongoing right now as we speak, including to the run-up?
No.
To July 13th?
I am not aware.
Was it ever discussed with you that an Iranian operative has transited Venezuela and was in the United States, according to FBI public notice made in March, recruiting hitmen to kill President Trump?
It was not.
Were you made aware on July 13th or on July 12th that day the FBI had arrested a Pakistani national Mr. Merchan, with ties to Iran, putting down payments, actual cash, down payments to recruit hitmen?
No.
Were you aware that that same operative were recruiting women as spotters and recruiting protesters as a distraction? A fairly sophisticated plot being run by a foreign state actor intelligence agency.
No.
Not aware.
Mr. Sullivan, in your experience, would that change how you operated? Would that heighten your level of coordination, assets?
Absolutely, Mr. Waltz. It would be a tremendous game changer. But again, I hearken back to my statement here at the beginning. The current situation with the Secret Service not being mandated to have information provided to it is a problem. Now, the Secret Service should have been part of that overall investigation. The Secret Service should have been part
Secret
of the
Service
arrest.
should have been aware.
Absolutely.
And
They've been probably
certainly,
where they
had you been in charge, or in your experience, would certainly make local law enforcement aware, hey, we not only have ongoing plots, we just arrested someone in the United States putting down payments to kill President Trump. This is on top of the ongoing domestic threats, correct?
Yes.
You would
yes.
make your counterparts aware.
Yes, I would think those Secret Service headquarters knew about that. I'm assuming that. I don't know for a fact. But I've been in law enforcement my whole life. Unless you're in the room, unless you're one of the persons putting handcuffs on the suspect and bringing him in the room conducting the interview, you're never going to get the whole story. You have to be
But at
part
least
of
in
that
awareness,
arrest.
in fairness, just I have limited time, at least in awareness to your local law,
Yes,
right?
yes.
So were you also aware, was anyone aware that President Trump had been denied additional resources, but the reason the Secret Service counter sniper team wasn't there to coordinate with you is they were still pending approval at Secret Service headquarters. That's why the actual counter snipers weren't there to coordinate with you. Was anyone aware of that?
I was
But
not.
that they would be coming, maybe you should sync up, coordinate?
There was some discussion there, like I think it was on Thursday, that, because when you compare this to the 2020 rally, the Secret Service did not have a lot of the resources that was in Butler for 2020. And this event on July 13th, they seemed like they had a lot less resources. There was no CAT team. I don't think the CS team was coming at first. And,
That's right.
And early on, we had mentioned our CERT team, which is Special Emergency Response Team, utilizing them, but you know, they felt that they were just needed in the motorcade.
So it was clear, heightened threat, you're not made aware, a lot less resources from the service. In addition, in terms of Secret Service post standards, 12 were allocated to Dr. Jill Biden's event in Pittsburgh, only 3 allocated there, making them highly dependent on you all. And in my time remaining, Commander Lentz, you said you were not given any guidance to secure the AGR building. Can you just talk about that for a moment? So essentially the site and the advance said, locals, you guys got this. Good? And was there any back brief? Was there any put assets here, on the roof, inside, post standards, anything at all?
So once we received our duties, so the Secret Service says, here's what we want you to do. And on Tuesday, I believe it was Tuesday, they did request some sniper teams from us, and later that day confirmed that their counter snipers were coming in. But there was no guidance as far as where they wanted us to be, aside from what those specific duties would be. The counter